In this section, we're going to be talking about the various types of membranes that you will see throughout the course. So I cannot stress enough that you absolutely positively need to know this information, because we will be talking about cutaneous membranes when we talk about the integument. We will be talking about mucous membranes when we are in the respiratory system and the digestive system, and we will also be talking about serous membranes when we talk about the cardiovascular system, the respiratory system, the GI tract, the reproductive system. These membranes are everywhere. Now, epithelial membranes. They are continuous multicellular sheets, and they are composed of at least two tissue types. They will be epithelial tissue that is bound to underlying connective tissue. There are three common types. They are going to be cutaneous membranes, they are mucous membranes, and they are serous membranes. Everywhere you go in the body, you will see these membranes, so you absolutely positively need to know about them. When you talk about the cutaneous membrane, you are talking about oftentimes the skin. You have keratinized stratified squamous epithelium, which is going to be attached to a thick layer of dense irregular connective tissue, which is why I put the slide up that I showed you before of dense irregular connective tissue, because it sits deep to that stratified squamous epithelial layer of the epidermis. Mucous membranes are going to line cavities that open to the outside. So what are they? The digestive system, the respiratory system, the urinary system, the reproductive system. These are wet or moist membranes because you are producing, what a surprise, mucus when you talk about mucous membranes. You have a layer of epithelial tissue which is going to be attached to a layer of loose areolar connective tissue. Serous membranes are going to be found lining closed body cavities. When we talk about serous membranes, there will be two layers with a very, very thin potential or virtual space in between them. The superficial layer is known as the parietal layer. The visceral layer is the deeper layer, and that is going to follow the organs just like a really, 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 really tight garment. They will secrete what is known as serous fluid, which for the most part is going to provide lubrication so the two layers, the parietal layer and the visceral layer, do not stick together and cause problems. Each membrane is going to be made up of a thin layer of simple squamous epithelium. This simple squamous epithelial layer will rest upon a thin layer of loose areolar connective tissue, and they will be named for the organs that occupy each cavity. So we're going to have the pericardial membrane, we will have the pleural membrane, we will also have the peritoneal membrane, which is going to cover the peritoneal cavity, the abdominopelvic cavity. So I like this analogy, which you can see up top in the diagram marked A, because if you take a half-filled balloon and you punch your fist into it, the outermost layer, that most superficial layer, will be sort of analogous to the parietal serous membrane. The inner layer will be analogous to the visceral serous membrane, and that's going to really just follow the contours of the organ or the structure. In between the two layers, you will have an area which contains air, which is going to be analogous to the serous cavity, which will contain serous fluid. The structures or the diagrams that are marked B and C show you the pericardial membranes and the pleural membranes.